Hello, HitPoint friends. Jeremy and Andrew back with you again. And here we are with our thoughts and recap and review on episode 4 of WandaVision.
Jeremy, they've got a plan.
They have a plan.
Excellent!
Spoilers. This has been my favorite episode so far, Jeremy.
I'm not sure if it is yet or not for mine for favorite, but a quick recap for all of you. It's not going to be a very long recap. This episode is the reveal of what's been going on the other side in the real world during all of this WandaVision episode stuff. And we finally get some answers to questions of things that popped up. We find out just exactly who Geraldine is after the cliffhanger of last week's episode. And right off the bat, the beginning starts off with the reveal that Geraldine is Monica Rambeau. For those who don't remember, Monica Rambeau was the little girl in Captain Marvel who became friends with Captain Marvel, who told her what her colors should be.
But there is something that I need your help with. I can't wear these Kree colors anymore. How do I look? Fresh.
So to give you some context, that's who Monica Rambeau is, and now this is many years later, her as an adult. And the thing that's really cool is what we find out, she went away during the snap from Thanos, and we pick up within her story of where she came back during the blip. And so we get to see that play out, which was really cool, and we'll get into our thoughts on that. But then from there, we just get to see some of her background leading all the way up to the beginnings of WandaVision. And so we know that she works for SWORD, which in this aspect of the MCU stands for Sentient Weapon Observation and Response Division, while the comics it was Sentient World, so the little shift there. But we get to meet some people that we've seen before. We see Jimmy Woo from Ant-Man and the Wasp. We see Kitty, is that her name?
Darcy.
Darcy
Lewis.
Yes.
Yep.
Darcy Lewis from the Thor series. And so we get to see these characters we know that are part of SWORD. They're trying to figure things out, because what happens with Monica is she comes back. We find out for a time she had been working in space, but now she's been grounded due to some rules that her mom set up, and her mom has died from cancer, which that was her mom's the character we knew that was friends with Captain Marvel. And so we know her status now, but before she died, she set up a rule that anyone who would potentially come back from the snap would be grounded and couldn't go back to space. And so Monica is grounded on Earth, and she's giving a missing persons case in New Jersey. She goes to New Jersey, shows up at a sign that says Westview. This is where she runs into Jimmy Woo. And this is where us as the audience, we know what Westview is. And this is just the beginnings of figuring out on their end of everything that's been going on in WandaVision. We get to see the drone that Wanda found go into the world, a whole bunch of different things. And we just get to see it from this perspective of, from SWORD's perspective. And that all leads up to the episode ending the exact same way the third one did, with Monica or Geraldine getting blasted through back out to the real world, which you get to see that actually happen. From the whole interaction with Wanda throwing her out. So that was cool to see. But we see that, and Monica crashes into the ground, and everyone runs up to her, and she says, "It's Wanda. All of it's Wanda." And fade to black, end of the episode. So, yeah.
Yes. Not a whole lot happened, but I would say that we had a lot of questions answered that were raised in the first couple episodes of the show. Which I think is really positive. So I think we're kind of getting into our review aspect of this episode. But like I said, this has been my favorite episode so far, because it actually is telling me that these writers know what they're doing, and they do have some sort of plan that they're working with, and that we're going to get solid answers. There was kind of one new big question raised, but we'll get into that more with the theories aspect. But I felt like they really gave us some solid answers to what's going on with the show. A lot of the weirdness that we've been seeing inside of WandaVision, we've got those answers now, so we can finally move forward into sort of the back half of the show now, which I'm really looking forward to now. I was a little bit nervous about it before, but now I'm like, all right, I'm on board. Let's do this.
Yep.
What do you think of it, Jeremy?
Yeah, I mean, this episode definitely brought back the Marvel feel. Like, if everyone's been waiting for how does this feel like an MCU entity, this was the episode that says, here's your answer. And it brought back some of the action of the MCU as well as the comedy. Like, there wasn't a lot of comedy in this episode compared to the past three. But that's pretty par for the course with an MCU entity, is that you have one or two characters that bring in the comedy, like in this case, Darcy being one of them. And then there's a lot of action-y type things. And so I did like the episode. I'm curious to see how things go now, because I think that will determine if it becomes my favorite of the whole series or not. But I think it'll just depend on where things go. But I would agree, I'm very excited now to see what's going to happen now that like you said, we're in the back half. I think like you said, the writers had a plan. It gives us a lot more hope there, because they were very intentional of how they've laid out this show now, of 3 episodes to show you what's going on with Wanda and Vision. 4th episode, that's the halfway point, to reveal, to pull back the curtain and see more, and then go on from there and whatever this show is going to be. So I'm very intrigued just where we're at right now. But I did think it was very interesting. You talked about some of the questions being answered. Darcy was revealed as the person that had the TV that at the end of the first episode observing what was going on. And that all built into her background as a character, which I thought was really cool, just to give her more of her shining moment, because she has a PhD now, and so she's able to do more things on her own. And she's the one who discovers that there's this broadcast going on along with all this cosmic energy, and gets a old tube TV and is able to see everything. And like, that's the progression of a lot of the observation. And it was really funny because during the episode, like, you saw Jimmy Woo writing questions down on the whiteboard, and it's all questions that everyone's been asking on the internet.
Yep.
It's like they knew. It's like they knew what we were going to be asking.
Yeah.
One of the other big reveals in there was that all the people that are in this show with Wanda and Vision are actually real people. And as they were watching the episode, Sword was doing face scans and finding out the real names of these people. So that was being put up on the whiteboard as well. So now we're like, okay, these people are actually real. And that's where the whole missing person case came from, because they were some real people that are missing. So I'm very excited. I think that's where I feel right now. I'm excited about the potential. I'm excited about where things are going. I don't have any uneasiness now of like I did with the first 3 episodes, just wondering. I'm just more pumped to see what's going to happen and how it connects into the bigger universe now.
Yeah, hard same. I'm 100% on board with you there. Really excited to see where they go from here, because I know that they have a plan, and it's just it's going to be pretty interesting to see where they go, particularly with what they're doing with Wanda. You kind of get the indication from the first couple, at least the first 2 episodes in particular, that Wanda's going to be kind of our framing protagonist. But at the end of this episode in particular, and kind of with the 3rd episode, she's more set up to be not the villain, but almost an obstacle to be overcome. So it's kind of interesting to see these roles reversed. Or at least I was kind of thinking that Sword was going to be sort of the bad organization that's doing this to her, when this is definitely within her own control that she's doing. And we're starting to tiptoe a bit into theories here. This is a bit within her control, and Sword's trying to help, but she's not wanting the help. So I guess with that being said, Jeremy, do we want to jump into theories now?
I mean, I'll kick off of, there's a few theories I have. Actually, I was thinking your face-off theory might not be that far off anymore.
Nor my Sims theory, really.
But the reason why I say your face-off theory is that one of the big reveals, well, we don't know if it's a reveal, it was something that was shocking, was towards the end of the episode when you see Wanda get rid of Geraldine, / Monica. When Vision comes back into the house, we see it from Wanda's perception now, while before we saw it from Vision's. And when she turns around to look at Vision, he has his dead face, Mind Stone out of his head, completely gray, but his mouth is moving. So
yeah, it's a really creepy shot, and I was not expecting it. It scared me when I saw it. Like, I kind of jumped a little bit. I was lying in bed watching it on my phone, and I was like, ah.
Yeah, I agree. It was very creepy. It was very shocking because it was not expected. And
No, not at all.
And I said to my wife, which ties into my theory a little bit, was that so in this, is she just animating Vision's dead body during all of this? Like,
yeah,
is
that'd be dark.
Is he actually like dead and she's just making him move around and do all these things? And I'm like, we have a zombie thing going on here.
Man. Yeah. So I think that moment was maybe a bit more figurative, not necessarily, definitely not literal. I don't think she's literally animating the dead body of Vision. That would be a little too dark for the MCU, I think. But I do think that Vision is dead, and that she's just kind of keeping a version of him alive within this universe that she's controlling. Because this is a question I have in regards to her power set, but her powers are derived from the Reality Stone?
Mind Stone.
Mind Stone. Okay. All right. Interesting.
Well, and here's the thing.
Yeah.
Is Kevin Feige's even come out and said that we haven't seen the full capability of Wanda's abilities in any of the previous movies. So that's what this is really exploring, is just how strong really is Wanda Maximoff. And that's where we don't know. I mean, because the fact that Vision seems to be fairly sentient on his own and has interactions with other people, and they are interacting with him like he's a normal thing. Now that we know that people are real, like, I mean, that sheds light on a lot of things. That third episode of the neighbors talking to Vision, like, you could kind of now tell what they were going to tell him. But it's one of those where he's doing all these other things on his own. So is he actually dead? I mean, those theories are still alive from that we've had in our previous videos of just when it surrounds Vision. One thing I didn't mention in our kind of thoughts on the episode is, I mentioned this to you before we started recording, but one thing I thought was really cool is, now that we had the reveal of everyone in the town being real, is it shed more light on the interactions that have happened in the previous episodes. Like in episode 1, when the husband and wife come over for dinner and he starts choking, and the complete change of direction of that interaction that they were having with Wanda and Vision, and his wife starting to say to Wanda, stop it, in a very serious manner, now makes a lot more sense when you know that these people are real people that are play acting because they're scared of Wanda. So there's just it sheds a lot more light on the interactions that have been going on, that it makes it very interesting. And it makes it, when they show Wanda throw out Monica, why it was so jarring of when Monica mentioned Ultron, because it made it so obvious that Monica didn't exist in this world to begin with, and she was new. So, I mean, some of my theories are more about now from the sword perspective of what's going to go on. Wanda is very powerful. I think that's quite obvious. And I think this is going to head to a clash of some kind, of a battle between Sword and Wanda. But my theories beyond that is, I still think there's someone behind the scenes pulling the strings. I think while Wanda may have created everything, whether it was she directly did it or made a deal with somebody else, regardless, I still think there's someone influencing everything in the background. And I think they're going to be directly tied into Doctor Strange. Because of the fact that this is supposed to connect to that movie. I do think that that's going to be the direct connection, is that there's going to be a conflict that happens between Sword and Wanda, but it's going to be revealed in some of these probably last few couple episodes as like you lead up to the finale of there's someone else that's actually kind of manipulating everything, and that will lead to why Doctor Strange has to get involved, and potentially how it affects the next Spider-Man movie too, since that is supposed to be the case, that this ties into the next Spider-Man movie that comes out in December. So I mean, that's my big theory right now, is that the obvious thing, everything has been quite obvious to the audience in the sense of what's been revealed, especially now in episode 4. So now there's got to be some huge reveal that happens towards the end of this series that's like, holy crap, this is how it ties into the rest of the universe, and this is where we're going, and now I'm excited to watch this movie and watch that movie and see what in the heck's going to happen.
That is interesting. Yeah, because I find I'm almost going a little bit in the opposite direction, where last week you had mentioned your theory was a bit more that Wanda is kind of working through the stages of grief in accepting Vision's death. And that's where I kind of found myself going with this episode, where like, I think Jeremy's onto something with that, and that this is her processing through that grief. And at the end of the series, she's going to accept that, Vision has died. I don't know how that's going to tie into the larger world, but I think that's going to be kind of a big crux of it. Oh shoot, where else was I going to go with that? But I do have another one of my patented outlandish theories. So I think you're right in that there's going to be a showdown between Sword and Wanda. We've got a little bit of Monica Rambeau's parentage. We know one half of that parentage is what's her name? Her mother, what's her mother's name? Maria Rambeau, who died. We don't know about the father. So I suspect that it is John Rambeau from the Rambo movies. And at the end of the series, Sylvester Stallone will be making his MCU debut appearance as Rambo.
And it's revealed at that point that Rambo has been spelled wrong all these years.
That's right.
Nice.
Well, it's like how Star Wars exists in the MCU. The Rambo movies exist too. It's just as Rambo.
And somehow all of these outlandish theories will all
come together.
Little aspects of each of them will actually come together and be something that happens.
Yeah, watch Sylvester Stallone does actually show up. That would be hilarious.
Well, he is in one of the Guardians movies, though, so...
Oh, is he? Okay,
yeah.
Well, never mind the debut, but this will be his John Rambo debut.
Yeah. Oh, goodness. So with that...
keeps getting stupider.
Yeah. So with that, I think that would be our wrap-up of our thoughts and everything. Definitely leave your comments below where you think the show is going, what you think is going to be happening, what your thoughts were on this particular episode, and if that improved your opinion of the show, or has it made you like it less because it's more MCU-like and you liked the fact that there was something different. Like, leave your thoughts in the comments below. Like we said in our last video, our thoughts are our thoughts doesn't mean it's the right thoughts. So we definitely are interested to see what you think as well. Hit that like button, comment, like I said, also hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell. But thanks so much for watching. We will be back next week with our recap on episode 5.
See you next time, guys.
Keep an eye on your health bar. Thank you so much for tuning into HitPoint. We hope this refilled your health bar and provided a much needed mental break. If you are new to the channel, don't forget to click the logo that's over my face. Or if you want more content, click here or here.